I have to get up high enough because otherwise. So those of you who are repeat customers here know that I usually like to do some interesting little monologue by writers like Nora Ephron or Judith Theorst about how women of shall we say, a certain age face the obstacles of everyday life. And you're probably sitting there thinking right now, Anne Frank. And I didn't know Anne Frank wrote comedy. And she doesn't. So let me tell you why I decided to switch gears this year. As many of you know, I'm also the political science teacher here, which means I have had the great joy of being immersed every single day in this lovely election season. and as I watch it, I think, like many of us, it's very concerning to see how politicians are appealing to our fears and our hatred and the things that separate us and the darkness that can really be inside of all of us. And simultaneous to that, I was sitting in the back of the auditorium watching the phenomenal Witness Theater production that we do here, and I hope you saw with Shelley. And I had the great honor of being able to speak to a number of the survivors after it was over. And what amazed me is if there was anyone in this world who had the right to be bitter, who had the right to be cynical, it would be these people. But they weren't. They were hopeful. And they were filled with goodness and optimism. And they still looked at the world as a place where the things that we share are greater than the things that make us different. And that was the moment I realized that this year of all years, I had to go back to a book that I loved as a child. Many of you did as well. And so I'm going to read two excerpts from the diary of Anne Frank. And it is her words. And it may amaze you that these are her words. Verbatim. Because when you hear them, you will see that they resonate as deeply today as they did 70 years ago. At least I think so, and I hope you do too. These are two entries from early May of 1944. This was perhaps 4 months before she and her family were betrayed and they were captured and taken to the concentration camps. As you can easily imagine, we often ask ourselves, rather despairingly, what is the use of war? Why can't people live peacefully together? Why is there all this destruction? Well, the question is very understandable, but no one has found a satisfactory answer so far. I mean, yes, they do make more gigantic planes and still heavier bombs, but at the same time, they make prefabricated homes for the reconstruction. Why should millions be spent daily on the war? And yet, there's not a penny available for medical services, for artists, or for poor people. Why do some people have to starve when there are surpluses rotting in other places in the world? Why are people so crazy? You know, I don't believe that the big men, the politicians and the capitalists alone are guilty of this war. Oh no, the little man is just as guilty, because otherwise the people of the world would have risen in revolt long ago. There just seems to be in some people an urge to destroy, to kill, to murder, to rage. And until all mankind, without exception, undergoes a great change, wars will be waged, and everything that has been built up, that has been cultivated and grown, everything will be destroyed and disfigured, after which mankind is going to have to begin all over again. I have often been downcast, but I have never been in despair. because I am young and I possess many buried qualities. I am young and I am strong and I am living a great adventure. I am still in the midst of it and I can't grumble the whole day long. I have been given a lot. A happy nature, a great deal of cheerfulness and strength. Every day I feel like I am developing inwardly, that the liberation is drawing nearer, and how beautiful nature is, and how good the people around me are, and how interesting this adventure is. So why should I be in despair? There was a quote from a book that I read, which says, "For the innermost depths, youth is lonelier than old age." I read this saying in some book, and I've always remembered it, and I found it to be true. Is it true that grown-ups have a more difficult time here than we do? No, I know it isn't true, because older people have formed their opinions about everything, and they don't waver before they act. It's twice as hard for us young ones to hold our ground and to maintain our opinions in a time when ideals are being shattered and destroyed, and a time when people are showing their worst side. And when a time when we don't know whether to believe in truth and right and God. It is really a wonder that I haven't dropped all my ideals, because they seem so absurd and so impossible to carry out. Yet I keep them, because in spite of everything, I still believe that people really are good at heart. I simply can't build up my hopes on a foundation that consists of confusion and misery and hatred and death. I see the world gradually being turned into a wilderness. I see the ever-approaching thunder, which will destroy us too. I can feel the suffering of millions. But if I look up into the heavens, then I think that it will come out all right. I think that this cruelty too will end, and that peace and tranquility will return again. And in the meantime, I must uphold my ideals, for perhaps the time will come when I shall be able to carry them out. Yours, Anne.